Welcome back to Fast Track. I'm Sarah Cometa.
And I'm Paul Sliker with more national and community news.
Mortgage percentages are at a peak since last summer, and President Obama is reviewing our nuclear policies. Let's check in with Veronica Appleton for more in our political update.
Former Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan testified before the Financial Crisis Commission on the topic of financial crisis mortgage meltdown. In prepared testimony, Greenspan says steps can be taken to limit the impact of another shock, but warned that regulators cannot prevent a crisis from happening. The Mortgage Banker Association says the 30-year fixed loan jumps to 5.3%, the highest since last summer, but could possibly be seen as a sign that recovery is taking hold.
Would you put this all under the category of, oops, we should have done it?
When you've been in government for 21 years, as I have been, the issue of retrospective and figuring out what you should have done differently is a really futile activity because you can't, in fact, in the real world do it. My experience has been, in the business I was in, I was right 70% of the time, but I was wrong 30% of the time, and there are an awful lot of mistakes in 21 years. We are dealing basically with problems by its very nature, which are insoluble, that require us to make judgments about what the future is going to hold. And as I mentioned before, if we get it right 70% of the time, that is exceptionally good. And I think that what we tried to do is the best we could with the data that we had. And all I can say is, did we make mistakes? Of course we make mistakes. I know of no way that can be altered under the existing structure.
President Obama is reshaping America's nuclear policies. Under the new guidelines, the U.S. will end the development of new weapons. Some critics say the changes could weaken the nation's defense. Matthew Bunn with Harvard's Kennedy School of Government says the shift makes sense. He believes the new development is a step in the direction toward a more adequate nuclear policy, which relies on nuclear weapons for the security. The developments are said to be finalized with a treaty signed in Prague and a global upcoming summit. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and Nigerian Secretary to the Government Yale Ahmed signed the U.S.-Nigeria Binational Commission this week. The U.S. State Department says it sets up a strategic dialogue designed to expand mutual cooperation across a broad range of shared interests. Nigeria is Africa's most populous nation and a significant trading partner for the United States. The U.S. Department says it wants to help ensure those elections will be free, fair, and transparent. The Nigerian elections will be held in 2011.
It may be spring, but earthquakes aren't confined to any season. Shadia Sanders is in the Weather Center with info on the most recent one.
That's right, Sarah. Earthquakes do not have a season, so this week we'll be talking about the Mexicali earthquake that happened last week, and then we'll go on to your weekend forecast to see if there's going to be some cooler temperatures continuing and the possibility of high winds. Now, last week, that California earthquake was a 7.2 in magnitude on the Richter scale, which is a very strong earthquake, and this one was felt in the Mexico area all the way to Los Angeles, all the way to Las Vegas. And here are some images of the damage. You can see some buildings being destroyed. Definitely no chance of recovering these. But in your weekend watch, we'll see some different temperatures. We'll see some different conditions. Those storms that we had last week in the Midwest have pushed off to the east with that cold front. So the rain showers are going to be in the east, in the southeast, and in the northeast. They're still going to be having a few showers in their area for Saturday. As we look out into the Midwest, mostly dry in that area, a few touchy spots of rain in South Dakota over into Wyoming, and also in Seattle area, they are going to be getting some rain showers. Now, in terms of temperatures on the east, in the southeast, you've got those warm temperatures as we would expect. Florida in the lower 70s. It cools off as you move north. In the Midwest, temperature is going to be in the upper 60s, maybe hitting 70 degrees. And then as we if we look out into the south, you can see Texas area in the 70s. And as you move north, it gets a little bit cooler. Saturday night lows, temperatures are going to be in the 40s, so very cool temperatures. And as we move into Sunday, things are warming up again. We've got those warm April temperatures like we had before that cold front came through. So the Midwest going to be in the lower 70s, about 72 degrees. Gets warmer as you move south, cooler as you move north, and that's what we would expect. So out in Texas area, western Texas area in the 70s, and that's what's going to be happening for this weekend in terms of temperatures. That's all for this week's national forecast. I'm Shadia Sanders.
Are you a social animal, like to party and have a good time? Well, according to doctors, chances are your friends are the same way. Here's Veronica with this week's Health Minute.
If you're inclined to drink a lot, then your buddies probably are too. According to a new study published in the latest edition of Annals of Internal Medicine, the drinking habits of the people in your social group may play a major part in determining how much you tip the bottle. Researchers looked at statistics from the famous Framingham Heart Study, which followed 12,067 people for more than 30 years. In this analysis, the researchers studied patterns of alcohol use in large social groups. Study investigators found that a person was 50% more likely to drink heavily if a person they're directly connected to was also a heavy drinker, and 36% more likely to drink heavily if a friend of a friend drinks heavily. Researchers say the impact extended up to 3 degrees of separation. According to the study authors, these statistics show friends and people you have connections with can affect your health just as much as your family history or your genetic background when it comes to drinking. Doctors suggest understanding this social behavior could help in developing better clinical and health interventions for alcoholism.
When we come back, Tommy and Robbie talk to a member of the baseball team, and we'll check in with Mandy for our local weather forecast.
And we'll have our weekly sports roundup with Robbie and Sarah. Stay with us.